Today, I wanted to kind of review some things that we've been talking about over the past. And it was really interesting when I first started teaching my class in Las Cruces. It was an 18-hour intensive, and since once I moved to Sedona, the energy here, the pace of the people, and everything, it just didn't support that kind of time frame. And I was able to condense my teachings and the information down to 7 basic tools. And we have talked about all of these throughout the shows. And I wanted to kind of give you a reminder. The 7 tools assist our evolution from conditioned beings into our true consciousness. It's a way of living free of false beliefs created by our conditioning and programming, free to discover our true self, and free to experience and express who that incredible being is. The old ways are just simply no longer working, and change is the only constant that we can count on in truth. And without the knowledge and understanding, the fear is going to reign. Because as always, fear is false evidence appearing real. It's about us learning to shift the crystal, to see what to change our perspective, to look at it from a different place in your consciousness and see what it looks like from that place rather than where you have been standing. So this is a reminder, to things are changing. Things are happening very, very quickly. Time is passing. Time is changing. It's becoming much different than what we have known it to be. But because we're in the middle of it, kind of like being in the forest, amidst the trees, it's kind of hard to see the whole forest. And that's a lot of what's happening with us. We are going through so many changes in so many ways, on so many different levels, simultaneously, that we just can't have consciousness of all of it, nor do we need to be. The part that we need to have the consciousness of is the part that controls us, which is our belief systems, the part that keeps us from experiencing and enjoying life in the way that it was meant to be. Because this new reality is really, it's a conscious one. We are evolving. And the more we pretend or ignore what isn't working anymore, the harder it's going to be. By design, we have all lived lifetimes in fear and darkness, and knowing the truth of who we really are. The time has come to an end. We are on the threshold between what has been and what will be. And at this exact moment, neither exists. We're getting glimpses and tastes of it. But right now, we're still experiencing it. We're closer to the new world than we are to the old world, and that's why so many things are feeling off. Not necessarily bad, but just off, just different. And one of the things that we need to be aware of is that freedom is scary. We know how to live in bondage as slaves, how to give other people our power, how to give them the authority over us, how to live our lives the way that others think that we should. And we are most expert at being a victim, believing that that's the only way to get our needs met. Well, why wouldn't we? We have been brainwashed out of the womb to believe in our lack, our unworthiness, and we spend every day of our lives trying to be good enough for someone or something. We're like hamsters on a wheel. We can't change behavior from the same consciousness that created it. And another way of saying that is that you cannot see what serves you if you keep looking through the same lens that created the experience that you find doesn't serve you. You have to be willing to just turn your head 5 degrees to the left or the right. Even that will give you a different perspective. Take 5 steps and look at the situation in either direction, and you will get a different perspective of what you were experiencing. when the foundation you build your beliefs on is flawed or a downright lie, everything that comes from it is invalid. It's a lie too. It's like we have built our consciousness over a sinkhole. In the beginning, it seems solid and that all is well, but after a while, we discovered that the foundation was an illusion, and our lives are falling apart. The biggest disconnect we experience is the mind-body connection. What we think and believe, whether we are aware of it or not, directly affects our physical health. Now, the body only manifests the imbalances. And that's where we get the accident, the injury, the illness, the disease that originate from the false beliefs. So when the beliefs are changed, the body can heal. Remember, false beliefs trigger the survival mechanism. It's also known as a fight or flight syndrome. Hate and anger. The emotions of hate and anger trigger fight. The emotions of fear and resentment trigger flight. We're going to run. We're going to stand our ground with hate and anger. We're going to run like the devil's chasing us through fear and resentment. But the thing about it is that these emotions are neutral in essence, and they originate from the love of self. If you didn't love the being that you are, regardless of the house that you're living in, you wouldn't feel threatened. But the fact that you feel threatened triggers your survival mechanism. That's love of self in action, really. So this energy is triggered by love. When you recognize and get out of the when you get out of the charge of this emotion and you recognize what it's about, it returns to the love because that's where it came from. Now remember, guilt, jealousy, and obligation are based on and designed to reinforce false beliefs, and they will never return to the love. And these emotions will always trigger our survival mechanism. And remember, when our survival is triggered, we have a boost, like just an overwhelming boost of energy in our body. And that is the energy that the dark feeds on. So the dark, who are the powers that be, or have been, are always things to trigger our survival mechanism. Alrighty. So the 7 tools, in a nutshell, and like I said, we've talked about all of them. And the first one is to know your truth and to walk your talk. You have to recognize your own uniqueness. You have to accept yourself as who you are, warts and all. Because if you are truly a beautiful, radiant, rare, and precious cosmic miracle, which you are, and so is everyone else, then how can you, by your own design, compare and judge yourself with another person or give other people authority and power over you when you are the only one of you there is? How can they know what's better for you than you? They're the only one of themselves that they are as well. We do not know another person's path, their soul agreements, their life contracts. We don't know that. We don't even know that about ourselves as a general rule. How can we possibly know it about another being? But yet at the same time, that's what we think we know. And the core beliefs that we've talked about are simply tools that you can use to recognize what your core needs are. Our biggest core belief is to be or become non-disturbed. I mean, that is just a given. It's so obvious that we don't even think about it. And every decision that stems from that, I want to have my own way now, is designed to be or become non-disturbed again. To think a thing makes it so. It's important to please others, Don't ask questions. Just do and believe as you are told by your authorities. Oh, I'm going to change so everyone will like me. Well, if only he, she, it, or they would change, I'd be okay. Oh, it's important to please others. Every one of those 7 core beliefs is absolutely designed to make you non-disturbed. And the only way you can be non-disturbed, in truth, is to meet your core needs, which is the second tool. Keep your power and meet your own needs. That's vital. Nobody can think your thoughts, feel your feelings. No one has lived the lives you've lived, has brought into this life the wisdom, the knowledge, the knowing that a lot of times you don't even know you have until the situation presents itself and all of a sudden that knowledge and wisdom is there for you. We are unique and individual beings, and we have been told for 13 millennia that we know of that we are not worthy, that we don't deserve comfort and pleasure, that we can't have attention or acceptance or approval unless we do what other people want us to do. Well, how messed up is that? Really? You're going to keep buying on into all of that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, even when you know without question that you are the only one of you there is. How do you connect those 2 dots and make it okay? You absolutely cannot. And have a true picture be pretty distorted. And then, of course, the core fears that come up. The way that there are 3 core fears: abandonment and separation, surrender and trust, and worth and value. Those are the core fears. Each person will only respond for that based on 2 of the 3. There is one of those core fears that just isn't going to resonate in your world. For me, it's abandonment and separation. The other 2, oh yeah, surrender and trust is my biggie. And worth and value has been in the past. It's not so much now, but every once in a while there's just triggers. And the thing about it is that if you know yourself well enough to know where you go whenever you are in a charge, how you respond to fear, how you respond to anger, what is your pattern, what need are you trying to get met, or are you denying yourself? What judgment are you functioning under? What judgment are you living your life as a result of? Who is living your life? Whose beliefs are you holding? Whose truths are yours? And if you're not living your own, then it's time for you to question it. And that's absolutely in a nutshell what conscious awareness is about. Remember, I've said over and over, a false belief is only a false belief because it wasn't made with conscious awareness. Once you become aware of what that belief is, you can keep it, you can change it, you can modify it, you can do whatever you want to do with it. Because at that moment, you are consciously choosing that belief as a truth. And we will function off of what we believe to be true, whether we're aware of it or not. That is the way we're made. It's the way that things manifest. So if you don't like the way things are manifesting in your world, look at your needs. Look at how you are meeting your own needs. That's one of the first places you want to go, people. And as you begin this path, you can never unlearn what you know. You can always stop using it, but you can never unlearn it. And as long as your higher self knows that you are consciously aware of something, it's not going to let it go. Because it's to your highest good to understand what you know, to remember, to bring it to the surface, to be conscious of it. And that means positive and negative. If you're holding resentments and hurts and past violence and trauma and all of that kind of thing, you got to bring it up because it cannot heal as long as it's in the dark. The only way it can be healed is through the light. And we're seeing that manifesting on the micro level all the way to the macro. Don't keep your head in the sand. Everybody else can see it. Remember me telling you that what you're looking through, you think you're looking through a brick wall and everybody else is seeing the plate glass window. You're not hiding anything from anybody but yourself. And if you don't believe me, take a look around. What do you see in other people that you don't think they can see in you? That you know that they don't think you know? It's a two-way street. We are extremely emotionally telepathic. And it's time we started recognizing it. We started hearing and knowing what is true for us. Because bottom line is that as we are evolving and the energy is increasing, all of our DNA is being rewired. What scientists call junk DNA because they didn't know what it was pieces of our DNA that were spliced out through the manipulation and control by the Atlanteans that we have been experiencing. So now as we are evolving and becoming more conscious, these pieces of DNA are being replaced. And as they're being replaced within us, we're becoming more and more of who we truly are. And this is happening very, very rapidly in one sense, and of course it seems slow as molasses in other ways. But the thing that you have to keep reminding yourself of, which I do frequently, is it's all in divine timing. My joke between Archangel Michael and myself is a 1 4-letter word called soon. Every time I would ask him a question, it would be soon. So that became my new 4-letter word. The original one is still my favorite, but soon is right there second. So anyway, the third one is to use conscious communication. Remember the power of words. It is absolutely vital that we start communicating in ways that empower us instead of devaluing and minimizing who we are. We've got to look at the words that we use. We've got to look at defining what they mean to us. And this also falls into going in, when you go to your center and you think and you sit and you contemplate, okay, I know that I need to change this belief or this behavior. I don't believe it to be true anymore, but I'm in the habit of the old ways. And my knee-jerk reaction is when somebody does something to me or says something that is no longer, I'm not allowing anymore. What do I do? How do I respond? That's when you go into your center, into your playroom, and you reenact. And you play those situations that you've experienced in the past. The ones when you get home and you think of the best perfect comeback, and of course hours later it does you no good. This is the kind of thing that you want to do in your center, because that gives you a point of reference. You can't know what you don't know. And if you don't have something to replace the old with, you're going to be going back to the old. So take time to sit down and rethink your responses to situations that were based on false beliefs. What would you respond now to your truth? You have to have this information and this knowledge. We have to shift the crystal on the words that we use all the time and understand what they mean. Compassion is feeling pity or sorrow for the suffering of another with an urge to help. Yet empathy is the ability to share in another's emotions, thoughts, or feelings without pity. Just holding space for them, of allowing them to be there. And we use compassion and empathy in the same way we use selfishness and greed. They're not by any sense of the word the same, but we use them in the same way. Are you still using the word sorry? Which of course by definition means inferior in worth and or quality. Every time you say I'm sorry, that's what you're saying. I'm less than you. Forgive me for my presence here on earth. That is such BS. You guys have got to start thinking about what you're saying. You can say oops, you can say I apologize, you can say, well, that didn't work. You can find an expression or a phrase or a way to express what we have always used I'm sorry to express. That's a lazy way. And it's in our conditioning and programming and not in our highest good. So stop using that. Pay attention to when you use the word but and replace it with a period or the word and. Because the word but negates everything that was previously said. So use it with wisdom. Use your terminology, your vocabulary. A false belief is simply a belief that was accepted without awareness. There was no choice. But a truth is a belief that was accepted with conscious awareness, which is choice. We have to look at what we're doing. We have to pay attention to what we know and understand. We have to listen to our bodies. Your body is speaking to you in volumes, and it is up to you to learn to hear it, to pay attention to what is being said, to the information your body is telling you. I have shared all of this with you in past shows. Go find the show on physical manifestations and think about it. Listen to it. How does it connect? How are you connecting the dots with what you're experiencing in your physical body with what you're thinking in your head? Are you listening to your heart? That's all your body wants you to do. And the bottom line is the body will seek balance. And you get to do it through conscious awareness, or your body will do it for you through accident, injury, illness, disease, or unusual behavior for you. That's fact, people. That's not something that I made up. That is what is. And where your body has its imbalance is telling you volumes about what area of your thinking that falls into. It's up to you to do the work. It's up to you to be curious, if nothing else, to see what your body's telling you. Go look it up. There are so many resources out there. I've given you my website hundreds of times, easyknowing.com. All of this information is on my website. And you have to release the charge. Releasing the charge of the emotion, which is triggered by the survival mechanism, is what creates the imbalance in the first place. So if you do not release the charge, which is simply by acknowledging what you're feeling, I am angry. I am terrified. Feel it in your body. When you say those words with conviction, I feel fear. I feel resentment. Whatever word works for you, or it pops into your mind, say it. And then feel, does your body respond to that vibration, to the vibration of that word? Does it have a tingle? Does it have a flutter, a sensation anywhere? And when you've got pain and you say that, the pain that you experience will respond as well. It'll either intensify, it'll vibrate, or it'll immediately stop. Your body will talk to you if you will listen to it. And when that happens, you just keep saying the phrase over again. I feel fear. I feel fear. I feel the fear. I'm scared. I'm afraid. The energies will flow through your body, out your feet, back into Mother Earth, where she will revitalize and reutilize them. And the next thing you do is, oh my God, why wouldn't I? You don't go to, oh, why am I? It's why wouldn't you? The why are you is obvious. But until you let it be okay that you're there, acknowledge, allow, and accept, until you let it be okay, you're going to stay in the charge. But the minute that you get out of the charge, all of a sudden, your conscious awareness comes in and you go, oh, that's what that was about. Okay, I get it now. And then you can change the belief, reinforce the truth, do whatever you need to do from there. It's such a simple process. It takes me way longer to explain it than it does for you to experience it. And then, of course, the next one is about the chakras. The chakras, they really, really are vital in our wholeness, our well-being. And they are being shifted and changed. They're like I said before, they're like the buttons that connect the spiritual and the physical bodies together. They have physical and spiritual qualities, and they blend and they harmonize. Your chakras being in balance are vital. And for example, your first chakra is your right to survival, your security, your stability, your groundedness, your right to be here. And when it's out of balance, you're going to be feeling insecure, fearful, a lot of self-pity, or you're going to experience a lot of aggressiveness. When it's in balance, instead, there's going to be security, confidence, a strength of your will. And these areas that are affected in your body by this chakra are your kidneys and your bladder, your whole skeletal system, including your teeth and your nails. Any bone structure, anything that is a skeletal system is going to be affected by this. This is your universe. This is your foundation. So any kind of disease or illness or abnormality in the body, from constipation to high blood pressure, kidney problems, legs and your feet, circulation, any of those kind of things are going to be affected by the first chakra. Okay? So instead of just automatically assuming that you've got some horrific disease, talk to your guides, talk to your angels. Find a healer that you know knows their stuff. Or do it for yourself. Ask your angels if your chakras are functioning. And then ask them to fix it, to function them, to make them work. And it's just like on the crown chakra. You know, when when your crown chakra is not functioning, the negative aspects of it are going to be feeling superior, no concern for others, an absolute lack of contact with reality. But when it's in balance, you're going to be feeling a reverence for all life, self-sacrificing. Let me rephrase that. Serving others. There's going to be creativity, inspiration. The things that are going to be illnesses that can be associated, or imbalances that are associated with the crown chakra being messed up or being unfunctional, are depression, confusion, dizziness. There are so many different areas that we can affect in our body simply by using the tools that are in front of us that we came into this world with. We have that power. It is just up to us to God, get curious and get curious. If nothing else works, get curious. Check it out. See what it feels like to do it different. You know, you say, "Well, I don't like change." That is such a conditioned response to everything. "Oh, I don't like change." That is such a lie. We all experience change on a daily basis. We wouldn't function without change. But we somewhere along the line believe that statement, change is bad. And it is not. Change is life. And we all agree it, we all applaud it until it starts affecting us. Well, honey, it's been affecting you for a long time. Wake up, shift the crystal, see the change as something that is moving you forward, like the river flowing. You have to flow with it. You cannot resist it. You can't stop it. You can't move it. You cannot push it. All you can do is flow with it. And when you're flowing in harmony with the energy, that's where you come to have the illusion that there's no change. But it's everywhere around you, within you and around you, in all of creation, within the universe that is you. Change is happening always. So shift your crystal. Think about what you think you know differently. The belief you hold now, you can always come back to it if it's one that you want to keep. That's the beauty of it. But be aware of it, be conscious of it. Don't be a puppet. And now the other thing is that use your center. Now, this is where I really would implore you, go to my website. I have an audio version of Creating Your Center on the website. It's also on YouTube. And then there's a video of how to use it once you get there. There's so much that you can do. And your center is just, it's another tool. It's a place to allow your spirit, yourself to learn how to be in your heart, how to learn to be out of ego. The kingdom of heaven is within. And you have to be as the little child to enter it. What does that mean? It means you have to pretend. That's the realm of children. They're not conditioned and programmed yet to the extent that the adults are. And the doorway to going within is playing pretend. I guarantee you, ego's going to be standing there at the gateway going, what are you doing? What do you think you're going to do here? And if you say anything other than, I'm going to go play and pretend, you won't be allowed there. But the minute you open up that innocent, that childlikeness of you of playing pretend, where fantasy is more real than anything else, where you can make up the things and you can be as a child, that's where your reality is really created. That's where you change everything. And your center is the tool to do that through, to give you a point of reference, a focus. The only rule is that you can only have one entrance into your sacred space, and that's for your greatest and highest good. That's for your protection. Because there's a lot of beings out there that would love to homestead, hang out, and you don't want that. Your doorway is protected by the white light. And it's so important for you to spend time there to get to know your guides and your angels, and to use the tools that you have created to come up with new ones, to be curious, to see how much you can expand on, and most importantly, to see how fast what you're doing in your center manifests into your physical reality. That's the purpose of doing it. Yeah, it's great to hang out there and play and blah, 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 but whenever that's all you do, it's like, after a while. But the things you're doing are going to manifest into the physical reality so much faster than you have any awareness. That's the magic and the miracles of all of this. That's the adventure. That's where the fun is. We are shifting, we are changing, whether you like it, whether you hate it, whether you know it, whether you resist it. It doesn't matter. It's as valid to negate it as it is to bitch that the sun comes up in the east instead of sets in the west. At this point in our reality, that is what is. Not to say that it won't change. Anything is possible, and all things are. All righty. Well, thank you so much for joining me here today. If you're just now tuning in, I'm Sherry Kennedy, and you're listening to Easy Knowing. And I wanted to invite you to give me a call, share some stories, just make some comments. I also wanted to share with you that today is going to be the last show. Been so honored and blessed to have been given this opportunity and privilege to be able to share my hard-earned knowledge and wisdom of my understanding of truth and the universal laws, and to give you tools and techniques and things that I have honed and learned throughout the years, and I know these tools work. The biggest challenge is the simplicity of it, because people have struggled so hard and been through so much that it just can't be that easy. And yet it is. Trust your knowing. Trust you to know. Try it. It will work. And the more that you do it, the more that it will work. This is not a gimmick. This is not something that you use in the moment or whenever you're just having a chaotic moment or something. This is a lifestyle. This is the way you live. You use these tools. You apply them to your life. You discover who you are, and you keep discovering who that person is. And you learn how to experience and express that beautiful being into this world. That's what this is all about. And I am just so honored to be able to have shared this information with you and had the conversations that we've had over these past wonderful months. But I feel very, very good about the information, the body of work, the legacy, so to speak, that I have left. So I think I've calculated we've got about 350 hours of information for you. It can be accessed through my website on YouTube. And if you have questions or comments or anything you want to share, there's always the tool of my website to go to. So I really would love to hear from you. This is the last opportunity you're going to get to answer that question. So pick up the phone and call 773-897-6227. That's 773-897-6227. So it would be good to hear from you and share this information. Okay, so just to kind of review some of the basic tools again, I want to remind you that using the core beliefs, when you find yourself wanting to have your own way, that's when you want to look at how you are giving yourself attention and acceptance. When you find yourself functioning off of a to think a thing makes it so, the what ifs, shoulds, coulds, and woulds, you're also functioning off of the need for attention and acceptance. And this is another homework assignment. How do you give yourself attention and acceptance? How does that manifest into your physical reality? On the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual level. These are the things that I'm talking about, you needing to go and sit down and listen, figure out what you're going to do to replace the old way. You have to have a plan, because it doesn't just disappear. It doesn't just get lost in the void because you snap your fingers. You're still alive. You're still a spiritual being having a human experience. So you have to find another way. Replace that old habit with your truth. But what does your truth look like manifesting? And that's what you have to figure out. If you find yourself wanting to please others, or just doing and believing as your authorities tell you, that one's all about needing approval. In some way, you are not approving of yourself, which means that you are judging and you are comparing and you're analyzing and you're just you're not approving of yourself. So again, this is where you have to sit down with yourself and say, what does that mean to me? What does approval mean? How am I going to recognize it when I get it? What points of reference do I hold? Are my expectations real? Or do I need to shift that, clean the slate, and go into expectancy? Now, if you're getting caught up and I'm going to change so everyone will like me, or if everybody else changes, I'll be okay, then you need to look at your belief about importance and being valued. How are you giving that to yourself? If we don't give it to ourselves, we can't recognize it when it's received from another person. And if we are giving it to ourselves, the degree to which we are allowing ourselves to experience that is also a reflection of the degree that we're going to be receiving it from another being. That is what is. That is not going to ever change. And if you just find yourself wanting to run away, crawl into a hole, that's all about the comfort and the pleasure. that need to be or become non-disturbed, to get disconnect, to unplug. What does comfort and pleasure mean to you? These needs have to be individually divine. If you do not understand or know what that need means to you, how are you ever going to be able to create it or recognize it within your own self? These are vital steps to discovering who you are, to being sovereign, to being independent, to opening the door to the magnificence of who you truly are. And this is a little side note here. It's important to be important will affect any part of the body at any time. So it's important to be important can masquerade as all of the needs and all of the beliefs, or any of the needs and any of the beliefs. So in addition to looking at what the core belief is actually connected to, you always kind of throw in that one about, well, am I needing to be important? And that one still goes back to your worth and your value. Oh, excuse me, I had to take a little, wet my whistle there. So again, just a few more little things to leave you with. Remember, the three emotions that do not return to the love are jealousy and obligation. Jealousy is being resentfully envious. It's all caught up in judgment, comparison. Guilt is a belief in deserving blame or punishment. Well, according to who and compared to what? Who is your power and authority that you would allow them to dictate your life to such degrees that you will give them the power to be judge, jury, and executioner over your life? And then feel guilty because you don't or didn't do it enough? And then there's obligation, being indebted to another for a favor or a service received. Well, if you've already received the service or the favor, then what the hell are you indebted for? These are just manipulative tools that the dark has used to keep you out of your truth and your power. Start thinking about what you're doing. Why are you reacting the way you are? Why are you wanting to do the things you're doing? Why are you not wanting to do the things that you're doing? What are you avoiding, denying, resisting, negating? What are you defending, explaining, justifying, and rationalizing? These are all tools that you have to know who you are, to wade through the trash that's been dumped on you. And that's literally what the conditioning and programming it is. It's just trash. We're discovering day in and day out how false our history is, how much we have been lied to and manipulated. Everything is coming to the surface. So much is being revealed. And it's macro to micro and micro to macro, above and below. Everything is being revealed so that it can be healed by the light and the love. These are some powerful, powerful times that we are living in. And we're changing. It's evolving. It's not different. If you're trying to work a business and you're trying to maintain the status quo of the old way of the third dimensional with the greed and the profit margins and all of that kind of thing, I will tell you this, it won't work. The energy that supported that mentality and that drive and that desire is falling away. Now it has to be more truly of service. How does this benefit humanity? How does this evolve each of us? How is this good for the unity, the equality, the balance? Look at the employers who are starting to honor their employees, who are starting to recognize that that's where their true power lies, that that's where the fortune is. It's not in the paper money and the dollars and in Wall Street and all of those places. The worth, the value, the fortune is its foundation, its workers. Because without them, none of the rest would happen. Nothing would exist. And that is the energy of the new. That is the love manifesting, the higher vibrations. We just did 2 shows on love. And it boils down to being kind. Alrighty, I have a call. Let's remember to turn down your computer. So, hello, you're on the air.
Good morning, Miss Sherry. It's Cheryl.
Oh, hello, Miss Cheryl. Good to hear from you, woman.
Well, I just wanted to give you the maximum time to share with us all your wonderful gems that you have been sharing with us for months now. I believe you started in July, and so the purpose of my call is to truly, I hope on behalf of all the listeners, because we all can't jam the lines now in the next few minutes, but to truly say thank you to you, to acknowledge you for this tremendous effort that anyone who does anything on a regular basis, teach a class or do a radio show or anything where they are consistently showing up for the service and benefit of others. I truly applaud you. I'm grateful to you.
Thank you.
And I just couldn't
That means so much, and I'm so honored.
I couldn't have this last show without, some gold stars to, to put a little closure on it. And I just am, with joyful tears, because you just talked about change, and you said that change is constant, and it truly is. If we didn't have change, then I wouldn't be seeing new green leaves on all the trees that have been barren for a few months, and so forth and so on. And so right away, I kind of gasped when you made that announcement, and then I just said, okay, so how can we do it differently? And I'm thinking of all the shows, and will we have access to these recordings given
Absolutely.
that you're not? Okay, so
all of the shows are archived on on my website, and they're also on YouTube.
Okay, well, I just wanted to clarify that so that
Thank you.
So in other words, we can go in and, for example, this one, because it just, I know I've heard it, I know you've said it, and I just respond to it each and every time as if I'm hearing it for the first time, and yet I truly am, because I'm hearing it differently.
Yes, through your own evolution.
So, right. And so something that I wasn't aware of and conscious of, and thank you for really defining that conscious awareness, and because we hear those 2 words and it's like I'm conscious, I'm aware, and I mean, without taking any more time in case others want to call, I just know that I was so consciously aware of everything that was happening in a very profound experience that had me triggered, that had me having to go in very, very deeply. And I know that the conscious awareness of the tools that you've shared pushed me, because if I chose to ignore them now that I'm aware of them, then it would just come back and, show up differally and more intensely than it already was.
Yes, ma'am, it will. Cheryl, I'm just so grateful that you have called in and shared your growth, your wisdom with us. It's been amazing. And I have heard from people, not necessarily on the show, but personally, that have just the things you've shared, the way you shared it has affected them. And as I have always said, when one person evolves, we all evolve. We all grow together. The vibration rises. We add to it. And don't worry about giving other people time. If they want to call, they'll call. But they want to hear what you have to say as well and to share your story. So we are grateful to you for having the courage to do this. It's a little unnerving to speak on the radio the first time.
Well, I really have always felt as a speaker that as the words would come out of my mouth and go toward others, anyone could be in my body, my mind, my brain, and see and feel and hear what I do, because it's always making a U-turn, and it's coming right back at me, in very positive ways. As I'm sharing it, as I'm teaching it, as I'm, giving it to others, then it's coming back multiplied. In that very moment, I have felt that. And in times on our conversations with this show, I have had ahas happening as I'm speaking, and they're just like popping.
Yes.
So,
see, that makes it all worthwhile for me. To know that this information is being utilized and people are being affected by it. Because the simplicity of it sometimes negates it. People are afraid of the simplicity. We still think we have to suffer over our suffering, and it's just such a barbaric, outdated, old concept. It's time to let it go. It's time for us to quit pretending to be small and playing small. We are not. And, you're going to get jerked along behind us whether you like kicking and screaming. But you're going to come to that higher vibration. Everybody will. Because if you don't choose it, you're going to cease to be physical in this world. You're going to meet us on the other side. But we're all going to ascend. We're all going to go to become more of who we already are. And it's just so much fun once you let go and flow with it and start seeing how the magic and miracles start happening, how you begin to experience and express all of this newness, this difference in your life. It's the same old thing, but it's just so different.
Oh, it most certainly is. And as you know, I have you gave it to me. It's a daily planner. And I chose to document all my magic and miracles so that I could just be focused on that. And when I'm drinking my hot water and standing in front of the beautiful, beautiful tree that is now sprouting its green leaves and talking a mile a minute to it and thanking it, for its sturdiness and its grace and its guidance, and I always state my belief for the day that I am reaping abundant magic and miracles, and then they just show up every which
Absolutely.
way. Yeah.
You are giving yourself permission to receive, and it's that simple.
Yeah, and it's big ones and little ones. Just that I caught myself and didn't say something, and then 2 seconds later saw, oh, wow, it's a good thing that didn't come out of my mouth, or all the way to, driving in a very crowded street and coming face to face with a 6-foot metal ladder in my lane. And I have a 9-year-old child in the back seat of my car. Now what do? I have 2 seconds to make a choice. And it grazed the back tire. I took a deep breath and believed that it didn't damage the tire, and we kept going, and recognizing that this child has a tendency to really hit the panic button, I said, Nikki, let's breathe. I was doing it for myself, too. And so we started making exaggerated breathing, and then when we calmed down, we had just realized that I left my purse at her house, so I had no phone, I had no ID, I had nothing on me, and And potentially we could have needed all kinds of assistance. And
but when you let go and trusted,
then we just talked about how we were going to let her mother know that I had dropped her off at her tutoring, and she came up with the idea. That's how calm she was. And
that is awesome.
Oh, yeah, she said, Miss Cheryl, when I get upstairs, I'll just use somebody else's phone, and I'll call my mom, and I'll tell her that I'm here, and I'll tell her to call Aaron, her mom's fiance, and tell him that you're coming back to the house to get your purse. She figured it all out.
Well, of course she did. She's a beautiful, radiant, rare, and precious cosmic being. And she's being allowed to be who she is.
Is that if I had reacted in the oh, like I see on Facebook when somebody posts
you are
something,
absolutely right. Yes.
You know, I see people right and left. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, da, 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 da. I refuse to participate in that kind of energy. If I'm going to say anything at all, I'm going to say
and look at how you
something.
used the adrenaline that was released in your body, because you did feel threatened. But look at how you released it through conscious awareness and the love and the light. It didn't get stuck. It didn't manifest. It didn't create.
Nope.
Oh,
and
good for you, darling.
Me, I had an experience a few years ago where I was on the freeway going quite rapid pace at, 75, 80, and that very same kind of ladder flew out of the back of a pickup truck and came within inches of slamming into my car. So
see, honey, you drive with the angels, don't you?
Yeah.
You are with the angels. Well, listen, sweetie, I'm getting prompted that the show is ending.
So. Okay. All right.
I love you dearly, and thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for allowing me to share my knowledge and wisdom. It has been an honor, a privilege, and I am in such gratitude to be able to assist in any way that works for you. I do invite you, if you want to stay in touch, please do go to my website. You can send me an email. You can get in touch with me through there. All of the tools I talk about are on the website. This knowledge is out there. All you have to do is choose it. So again, I thank you with all of my heart. Follow your heart's song and paint the world with the colors of your soul. Bye-bye.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from GEICO.
Hardship. My grandmother would go through it every month to pay her insurance bill. First, she would handwrite a paper check, in cursive. Then, using her own tongue, she would wet a stamp for an envelope. Today, however, we need not weary our hands and tongues. Today, we can pay our GEICO bill with the GEICO app. Away with hardship, in with bill pay on the GEICO app. Thank you.